everybody. It is Thursday, June 29th. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Quilts, and today I'm with my host.
Hey, everybody. It's Andrew Plank with Vibe Real Estate Group and Roy LePage, and Jane was talking really fast, so I'm doing the same.
So hopefully you can see me. I am getting our house renovated, and we're just finishing off some stuff. So we're doing some painting. There may be a painter in behind me. So how is
an active show? A lot of movement in this show. Always something changing.
So yeah. we are going to get a lawyer in. He couldn't make it today because he has to go to court to talk about wills and estates. So he's going to be coming in 2 weeks. Next week, we're going to talk about the monthly market update.
Of course.
So how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. It's been really busy, like really busy.
And I always find that happens just before a long weekend, because there are some realtors who are savvy and they go, let's get this done before the whole summer break happens.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be a summer break though? I feel like, I've got more listings coming now than I've had for quite some time. Like they've all been piling up, but and it seems like there's action out there. It's action at the right price point, but there's action.
Exactly. So that's why we're going to talk today about what's happening at different price points. So we've got a sample here. Andrew's going to go over a little market update he did, right?
We'll do some of that. I didn't put together a market update. Do we have those stats from Danielle? Can we bring those up? Because we usually talk about that first. That's going to inform some of what we talk about here.
Yep. Okay. So June 29th, listing strategies in a shifting market.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so far as of June 26th, which was Monday, we had 566 unconditional sales for the month of June. That compared to, for the full month of June in 2022, 612. So yeah, we're going to hit that. We're definitely going to hit that. We probably already have hit that. And we'll probably surpass it because we are today, June 29th. New listings, 1,000, I was going to say million, 1,060. Compare that to 1,380 last year. And so far, active listings, 2,326. So we're up above last year's peak in June of 2,059.
Was that when the number of listings peaked last year?
No, I'm just saying that number is probably the peak number for June. I'm not sure how they pull that number, but like that's the number. Was that the number at the end of June, the mid of June? Like when did they get that number for the full number of active listings? We've never clarified that.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's the peak.
Okay. All right. And over the past week, so I actually looked at this week and then the past week, and it has slowed down in pendings a little bit from the week previously, but we're at 264 new listings, 224 pending. So what Andrew is saying is the market feels fast. That's because it is fast. We are seeing multiple offers. I have 2 happening this week on my listings.
Yeah.
Price decrease of 120. And I saw this today on a condo that I looked at, and we were talking about the break. When I meant summer break, I meant families going away for the summer, not necessarily realtors getting a break.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Price increases at 9, back on market 3. I never understood taking it off market and putting it back on. I just relist it, and sold at 245. So those are solds that happened in the last 6 weeks. So this is these are all high numbers.
Yeah, they are. And like, so new listings 264 compared to like that listing to pending ratio, that's jumped so much, because we were looking at one point as like the green line of new listings was, the purple line would have been 1/3 of the green line, it was bumped up a bit, but now we're at like 80%. That's quite a high ratio of properties listing that are selling, like quite a high ratio. This is going back to the time of this is reminiscent of the peak times. That being said, that number below, the lighter green number of 120 price decreases, suggests that one of the reasons we're getting so many pendings is because people are being really quick to adjust their price.
Right. And so for those listening, the green line is new listings, and pending is the purple line. So what
And the
he's
light
saying,
green line is price decreases. There's two green
yeah,
lines. Sorry, just to clarify.
264 new listings, 224 pending. So we're at a very high ratio there. So it's definitely a seller's market, but it doesn't mean you can get anything you want. Let's talk about that. So I'll go through this, and then Andrew's going to talk about his little video he put together. Not little, significant video he put together.
Diminish my video.
So this week, I listed two properties. One was a condo and one was a house, both well priced. The condo is in a building that needs remediation, so it's priced low. And the reason why it's priced low is because we know that there's going to be an upcoming special levy, which is a big payment coming out. We don't know what it is, so we're listing it for the benefit of the buyer to be able to afford this. And it was crazy. Oops.
Sorry. Oh, we both hit add to the screen at the same time. Go ahead.
So we probably have had 50 or 60 viewings. We're trying to educate people, but what I'm trying to say is that this curve here at the beginning in the first 2 weeks is very, very accurate. And we provide our sellers with this information every week so that they understand that that they understand what the activity is compared to the rest of the market. So why this is important is because if you don't price your house properly in those first 2 weeks, you're going to miss the market. And sometimes it depends when you list your house or your condo. For instance, if you list it in February, you may be listing it where the list to sale ratio is high and there isn't a lot of competition. And so if you price it properly, you're likely to get multiple offers. If you list it too high, what's going to happen is you're going to be getting the viewings, but you're not going to be getting the offers. And usually people don't give you feedback on price, I find.
Yeah, or they do. I've got a kind of Goldilocks kind of pricing feedback that I ask agents for feedback. I say, how do you feel about the price? Is it too hot, too cold, just right? And I often get, oh, just right. It's great, but it's not for my clients. And, after receiving a number of those and not getting offers, you're kind of wondering, well, it must be price, mustn't it?
Yeah.
But
They don't want to say it.
they feel overall that the price is okay, or they don't want to be mean. But the fact is we're looking for actual creative, constructive, not creative, but constructive feedback. It's really helpful. Okay, so this is a really great slide. I use the same. That pool of buyers just gets exposed to the market. They are active and looking, and the minute the property lists, it's going to be seen by the most eyes.
And this is why you want to do an active marketing strategy before it goes on the market, so that you're reaching the realtors who have clients who are interested, so that they are also in that.
Yeah. And of course, if it is a shifting market, we want to, you're going to be more or less aggressive with your pricing strategy. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's just go. This is some of my slide shares that we talk with people. This is related to that prior slide. And this is just to say that, there are at all times people coming, there's a pool of buyers. And there's at all times people coming into the market. They've decided to buy, they've decided to sell, and then buy. They are getting married, they have a child coming, they're being transferred into Victoria. It's always moving. And then there's people moving out of the market. They've changed their plans, they've actually bought something. But this pool of buyers doesn't shift super rapidly. And you're looking to sell to this pool of buyers when you first list. And they're going to be, on average, reasonable people looking for a reasonable product at a reasonable price. You can certainly be a unicorn, a seller looking for a unicorn buyer, that kind of buyer that's going to pay top dollar above what's reasonable. Maybe they've come from out of town with bucket loads of money, and they have special requirements that make your property unique. But the law of averages is you're not going to find those people. So this is the similar slide. There's no second chance for first impression, because when you first post your home, if it's not marketed and speaking to the people who are your market, and if it's a shifting market, we may need to shift who we're speaking to over time. But overall, we want to be exposed to the right market at the right time when we first go to market. The alternate, what happens if you don't is you end up, and this is a graph here showing price on the vertical and time on the horizontal. And if in the lighter of the blue, the stepped line is your price. And if you list at a price above market value, you're probably not going to get buyers. So you're going to sit on market for a longer period of time. And if you drop your price over time, eventually you're going to come down to market value. But by that time, those buyers have been exposed to your property. They've seen it multiple times. They've been reviewed it. They've talked about it. And they've probably moved on to other things. And it now starts to feel stale. It's no longer fresh.
So this is interesting. I'm showing a property today at noon for a buyer who had actually deleted a listing based on price and now is going back to it. And so I always tell my clients, don't delete based on price, delete based on that it doesn't work for you, because the price could come down. You want to be aware of it.
And sometimes you can get ahead of it, because as you can see in this, there's that price point drop where they went from above market value to below market value. And they would have been considering that price drop perhaps for a period of time. If you go and speak to them and bring an offer just before that price drop, you can probably negotiate something down to that price drop or below before it catches the attention of the greater market. At some point, it catches the attention of the greater market, but to do that, you have to sometimes go below market value to do so.
Okay, so I want to just show something similar, same concept. So here is the 3 pricing strategies. This is where Andrew's talking the retail price, where your comparables are, where your buyers and your sellers are going to overlap. So right in the middle there, that's market value. That's where you're going to reach the majority of people and anybody below. Wholesale is where we listed the condo that's that needs a renovation. So this is where it's priced below market value. So we're getting a ton of activity. So what this tells us is there are people out there who are qualified and looking to purchase, but they're looking to purchase in this range and the market's up here. So they're looking to try and take advantage of this low price listing. And then the optimistic is what you were talking about. Some people are at the top of the range, where usually it's a seller who is looking to be optimistic and wanting to price it too high, and where they get into that space where they're now not reaching enough people, and then they have to go into the wholesale price in order to bring in the buyer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll go back to...
Did you just take a screenshot of my...
I did. I liked it.
You rascal.
But you know what? So I've got a similar thing here where I say, we've got 3 different price strategies. We've got the realistic price strategy, what you referred to as retail. Price to the market, connects with buyers within a reasonable time. And it's a balance between risk and reward. Whereas an optimistic price point is above market value, and you risk losing out on the market. Market changes, potential buyers. You could be rewarded with a higher price point sale, but you could lose out. And then the aggressive price point is undercutting the market. And there's risks associated with that. Nuisance showings, less control over price. It does encourage buyer urgency and perhaps multiple offers, but if you don't get those multiple offers, you could be stuck because it's difficult to bring your price up after it's come down. That's my video, which I'll go to here. And so can we play? How do we play this? Come on, play. I think there it is.
Today we're looking at the relationship between price and time on market.
Okay, actually I want to go back to the talk that we had earlier about showing that graph that had the dropping prices over time, and also talking about the buyer pool. And now we're talking about pricing in a shifting market. And you want to think about if a market is actually going up over time or down over time, what are we going to do differently for our pricing, because it's going to make a difference. And this is what this speaks to.
Anytime properties are coming on market at market value, above market value, and below market value. What's actually happening, though, if you're looking at the inventory of listings, is there's going to be properties listing at market value selling relatively fast, properties listing below market value selling very fast, and properties listing above market value selling relatively slow. So when we look at the current list of options available to any buyer, we're going to predominantly see mostly market value and above market value listings. Now, what happens in a rising market? Well, as the property values go up, we're going to find that those overpriced listings are going to be selling as well. And we're going to find that the underpriced listings are going to be very, very uncommon. Firstly, in a lowering market, we're going to find properties that were priced appropriately sitting on market over time. Thanks. That's been your 1 minute market update. This is Andrew Plank.
Yeah. So I'll take that off. Comments, Jane?
Well, I wanted to actually, let me add this little. So this is actually proving what Andrew is saying. So what I did was I went in and I looked at homes, single family homes in Victoria. And the price on the left is the current price. The price in the middle is the original price. And then the price on the right is the sold price. And you can see there was a house that was priced at $999,900 and it sold for $1,098,000.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that was at $1,149,000 and it went down. They've come down to $1,099,000, so down $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
There's another one at $1,099,000 that's staying on the market. There's one that's over that price at $1,050,000 and it sold for $1,106,000. So that tells me that it was where you were saying in under price.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, if you're looking here, you can see where the $1,049,000 is selling at $112,000. The $1,149,000 is selling at $1,140,000. So sometimes if you're pricing lower, you're going to get higher. You're going to get more money than if you price high and negotiate down. And so there's a listing at $1,089,000. It sold for $1,152,000. And this is just where the market is showing us. I did not do a special search for this. This is telling us very clearly.
Yeah, the $1 million price point is a really interesting one because of the CMHC lending. So there's a lot of buyers that limit out at the million, and so that price point, by listing at $1 million, you get the eyes of $1 million and just under. You get the eyes of the buyers who actually are CMHC approved, who have a less of a down payment, a deposit, but it can't afford and probably aren't searching much above $1 million, whereas. And so it does have the room to get bumped up higher because those people who are looking at a higher price point, seeing that lower price point, to them it looks cheaper. They bump it up, but it's a strategy to get more eyes on the prize.
Yeah, but pricing, you can also see here at the $1,199,000, 2 listings sold for $25,000 less.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells me when I'm looking where people are looking is just under 1.2, you're going to probably on a single family home in Victoria, if you price it accurately, you're probably going to get multiple offers. Over 1.2, it's probably going to hesitate. And it did.
I find people get used to, or they're not looking above a certain price point. There might be a home that's sold. Let's say that 1 million to 1.2 is the price point that most people are looking within. When they see 1.25, they think, okay, that's overpriced. It could be a home that is much better finished, better quality, but because that's the price point that people are used to looking within, and that's what they've kind of psychologically gotten themselves ready for, to them it feels too high. And yet, if they were to buy a home for 1.150, they might end up putting $200,000 worth of work into it. And it's kind of funny that way, but people do get kind of these blinders on for price point, I find. and they
Yeah.
don't look outside the box for actual value.
Right. And so, but that's where you and I come in, because
Mhm.
we're able to tell you what is a good um, what
Yeah.
is good value. So we're looking at properties all the time. Like, I mean, for goodness sakes, yesterday I probably saw 10 homes on average. Maybe I'll see 30 a day. Like, it's crazy. Not on average, but
Wow, I was gonna say, Jane, you're seeing a lot of houses.
I'm seeing a lot of houses right now.
Okay.
And what it does though is that as a listing agent, it makes you more accurate on the listing side, realizing the value. But on the buyer side, you can say this is good value because they may only see 5, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, how does this compare?
Yeah. So let's talk about the market. So the market, we're going into summer. We're looking at maybe another interest rate hike, maybe not, who knows, probably, very likely. So I've got sellers who are concerned about getting ahead of what they perceive as potentially, less value in the future.
Yeah.
And I also have buyers bringing offers where they're kind of also trying to predict the future and thinking, why would I pay asking price today when I feel like maybe in 6 months the asking price on average is all going to be lower. So let's get
But
ahead
their
of that
cost
and make
is
an
going to be
offer.
higher.
Hmm?
Their
But their
cost
cost,
is
the
going to be
cost will
higher.
be higher. Yeah. But they're still thinking bottom line, what am I paying for this place? And they're trying to get the win on both sides.
I'm finding right now the reason why it's a bit busy is because a lot of people have an interest rate that they've committed to. And so they're trying to get in before the next rate hike
Mhm,
happens.
mhm.
So they're looking at, I mean, I think you need to look at what are your costs per month? What can you afford to pay? And can you, one of the reasons why some people are selling right now is because and especially with revenue properties, is the revenue is not covering the mortgage anymore.
If you're on a variable rate. Yeah.
Right. So, like this Elford property, there are lots of people looking for investment because at this price, it allows them to make the money in the short term. But with the big special levy, like it's interesting. I think that I think that buyers, I'm like, if you like the property, just buy the property. Because you're
I mean,
always
it's,
gonna be
uh,
negotiating with what the interest rate's gonna be.
but you always have to deal in the moment in the environment that you're in, right? And if you're not comfortable with the current environment, then you probably shouldn't be looking to buy, right? And there's a lot of people out there. I've worked with people earlier on in my career, especially that I didn't recognize that they weren't really ready to buy because they weren't comfortable with the environment as it was, and they thought that things were going to get worse in future, or they felt or better for them in future, perhaps one way or another. They weren't emotionally ready, they weren't financially ready to buy, and it's mainly because um, they weren't ready to work in the moment of like, I need a home. I'm going to get myself a home, and I'm going to think long term.
So what happens in that case is the buyers, they hoop themselves. So for instance, they'll do stuff like they'll really underprice, they'll come in really low on a multiple offer, so they won't get it. Or they'll add conditions when we're in a multiple offer and probably we should be lessening our conditions. They start adding more, and so they don't know why they're doing it,
They're
but
second guessing, but yeah, but we recognize that there's an emotional reason behind what they're doing, and it's because they're trying to protect themselves from all angles. And unfortunately, I mean, fortunately and fortunately, there's risk and reward, and real estate doesn't come completely without risk. We do our best to advise, we do our best to protect, but at some point, it's ultimately up to the person putting their name to the contract to take on the risk. And if everything was risk free, um, there would be more cost to it, I suppose. I mean, that and the cost is, um, I guess you can't have a cheap price. There's that saying, do it right, do it cheap. Um, do it fast, do it right, do it cheap. Pick two,
yes.
right? And as a buyer, you can't have it all. and you can't get an inexpensive home that also is perfect and find it quickly.
Yeah.
That's the unicorn that doesn't exist.
Well, the other thing is when there is more choice in the market, people take their time because they are starting to they go, "Well, now I have time."
Yeah,
And this usually happens in the fall, and you're
yeah.
like, "Listen, this is a great deal."
There's no urgency and yet that's a great time to be buying. And I've found this over and over again. And yet when everyone else is buying and the prices are going up, people start to get that scarcity feeling. And then they're making those they never would have made those bids, paying prices they never would have paid, foregoing conditions they never would have foregone. And yet they're caught up in that feeding frenzy. And this is not the time. This is
Yes.
not the best time to find the best property when there's more selection on market and it's slower. And people are like, well, I don't want to overpay. But look, you can get this home that's better than anything else on the market, and nobody else is looking at it right now. You're not going to be competing, so you can put in your protections. And yet they're hesitating.
Right. And so, what I found in the market over the past 4 years is those people who are really philosophical and deep thinkers and like to take their time have been at a big disadvantage because the people who have just jumped and sort of found their wings on the way down have ended up taking off. And so I
Yes.
don't, historically, I don't see prices ever going to come down. The dollar's worth a different amount than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So
That
just
being said, Jane, the people who are more conservative, who are more protective, they definitely don't want to get into those situations. And there are people who made rash decisions, bought places unconditionally, bought at the peak of the market and bid above when there were multiple offers. I have clients that did this last year, and then the market shifts, or an inspection after the fact finds a problem, and there is risk.
yes.
So it is important to understand that risk and be willing to take it. Long term, the reward can still be worth it, but you need to understand that what you're
Right.
getting into.
But the reason why they take the risk when the market's like that is because they figure the price. This is what somebody told me, and I think it's a good. It's a good perspective. If you are buying and the market's going to go up rapidly, it looks like it's going up rapidly, and historically, the past 6 months it's gone crazy, and you go, okay, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen in this house? And what's the cost of that? What's the cost of the house plus the worst thing that's going to happen? Is it worth taking?
Yeah.
So that it's a business decision people need to be aware of. But on the other hand, the worst thing that could happen is $140,000 oil tank in your backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you take the risk. You take the risk based on how the house presents. And the thing is, we look at a lot of places where there's lipstick on the pig.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not a great home. She's not pretty. She just looks that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's the value of the realtor, honestly. So when and an experienced realtor,
There's the opposite too, where there's the property that actually has so much great potential, wonderful bones, for example, that and
It's
people
ugly.
can't see it. They can't see it, but it's somebody's made some bad design choices over the years, or maybe it's just not well lived. It's tenanted and cluttered, but you can see past some of that stuff. You can see what's there. Hey, so let's bring this into the current market. We're going into summer. We were talking about strategies for a changing market. What would you be recommending to someone today in terms of pricing? Does it make sense to do the optimistic, let's try to get multiple offers? Should we just try to be realistic, or is it a safe market where things are going up over time, so it's safe to price optimistically? The market will catch up. What would be your call on this?
So let's go back to this slide. I always try and go for retail.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that happened during COVID was the realtors were looking at the list price at the beginning of it very moderately. And so they were at the bottom of the seller's desired price range because of what was happening in the with the world. And the buyers were looking for a place to put in their money, and that's why the market went up so
There was
much.
a gap. Yeah, there was a big gap in what on the perception.
Yeah, and what's happened recently is the gap has narrowed, and
Yeah.
I think, and that's why if you're overpriced, you're not getting any business in your,
Yeah.
you're
So
negotiating.
that retail gap has the what
Narrowed.
range of retail has gotten a lot more tight, and that's why we're seeing those price reductions. And I agree. I don't think now is the time to price wholesale unless you price really, really wholesale. Because, in other words, I tell people, like, if you list your home for $1, it's going to get multiple offers and it's probably going to find its price, right? But if you list at, let's say we feel like the range of retail is between a million and $1,050,000, or let's say it was a condo, 500,000 and 550,000. If you list at 475, you might get multiple offers, but you might also you might not get enough people through the door in this market to end up with multiple offers. And then you're stuck kind of when people look at that price and bring you an offer, there's no argument for negotiating higher because you don't have the people coming to the door to bring that offer
Yeah.
to compete it, to bring it up. So, and I don't feel like we're going, although the stats recently do show that, like I was just looking at the HPI and there's been a bit of a bump in pricing. I don't think that we're in a market where it makes sense to go optimistically. And I should say too, when we talk about retail value and we talk about pricing a home, we can get it wrong too. We look at the market, we look at what it's done, we give our best advice, we work with you to come up to a price, we list the home, market it up for sale. And if we don't get buyers through the door in that first couple of weeks, that when it should be getting the most exposure, we need to consider what's going on here and what do we have to do to change this, because I call it course corrections. But if we're trying to get to a certain destination and we're not on course, we need to probably make a quick course correction sooner than later. I'm
Yeah.
not one for,
If it's appropriately marketed and you're not getting viewings, it's overpriced.
yeah. And then, like, if the market is shifting and going down or softening, you need to get ahead of that. So you sometimes have to lower more now in order to get a sale now, to save you from having to lower more later as the market goes down and chase it down. And we've seen many
Yeah.
times people chase a market down over time.
So last week I had a listing, just one more story. I had a listing
Yep.
that was priced accurately, but the house did not show well. And so we were getting a lot of viewings and no offers.
Mhm.
And the feedback was it's overpriced. So we lowered the price, and we lowered it to a point that gave people the space to do the work. And we got multiple offers.
Yep.
And that's so then when you find the right marketing value, what's happened is you get a lot of people going through, and then okay, then it feels good, it flows.
Yeah.
But
It's like fishing. You have your line down at a certain depth, and you could be trolling along at 50 feet, but all the fish are at 40 feet, and you're not getting anything. But you bring your line up a little bit, and then suddenly hit after hit after hit.
yeah, good analogy. I like that one.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So it's now 10 after 4 and 4 after 10. Yes.
I am looking for a townhouse for a client. We're looking primarily in the West Shore. We prefer Colwood, anything around Latoria or Royal Bay. She wants newer, but not necessarily brand new. So we're looking at Besanton, Propeller, and Royal Bay. I've sent a note out to all those homeowners. Please bring me a listing. Contact your realtor now.
Let's talk offline. I may have something.
Okay. What's your big need?
My big need, I need a townhouse, rancher in the core, under 900, maybe a little more, but preferably under 900. Broadmead, Royal Oak area would be great. We'll look in other areas as well. I need a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, under 475. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I need, and that's again in the core,
What price?
under 475.
Under 475. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And I need actually a home, like a nice, stately, sort of character-ish home or condo. There's going in a couple of different directions. These buyers, they're in town next week. We're going to be looking around, bay, walkable to the village or to a village in the core, possibly looking as far as Sydney, up to 2.5 million. They could swing over and look at condos as well. I'd say if they're looking at condo, again, something walkable, not in the middle of it all, but something still with, in that case, maybe some views or across from a park or something. They really liked, there was one on Park Lane, is it, over at Beacon Hill?
Yeah.
It's long sold, but that one caught their eye from a distance. There's some homes in Oak Bay that have caught their eye. Anyway, that's kind of stuff. That's a broad range, but they've got, I'd say it's for a retiring couple looking for a really, their forever retirement home, and they like to walk. So walk to shopping, walk to hikes, and walk.
Okay. I have clients looking for a newer construction home, either in Machosen or the Highlands, and they're looking up to 2 million. So if anybody knows anything, let me know.
Okay.
And they want some flat land. So it doesn't have to be totally flat, but everything we're seeing is like at a 45-degree angle.
I've got a listing going live today in the rail yards. It's a patio home. So it's just under 600 square foot, 1-bedroom unit. No parking with it, but it's a highly walkable area. And the patio is it's like 250 square foot patio, ground floor. You can lock and leave, come and go through your patio entry. It's got those European doors that vent, so they close and open securely. So it's a really, really nice little setup. There's only one shared wall between your neighbors. Price is $487,500. So that's going live. That actually has gone live today. And we've got a home coming up next week in Thetis Heights. Actually, not next week, in about 3 weeks, but in Thetis Heights, right at $1 million. Early 90s built, 1/4-acre lot on a hill. Really nicely updated home. 3 beds, 2 baths, 2-car garage. Really immaculate condition. And that's going up at $1 million.
So the house I'm looking for in Machosen or Highlands, they would like a suite. If not, the $1 million house plus a suite, that would be good.
Okay.
They'll add a suite. Okay, I have 2 new listings coming up. One's 2180 Champions Way. It's going to be coming up this weekend. It is a 5-bedroom, 4-bath home. It's 4,000 square feet, and it's on an 8,000 square foot lot. It backs right onto the 7th tee, 8th hole, something like that. I can't remember. And so that will be priced at $2,299,000. And then we're also looking at another house coming up on Bear Mountain. It's a view property, and this one will be at $1,999,000. And we're getting everything set up tomorrow, so I'll have details for you. But beautiful home. It has a legal suite over the garage, 2.5 garage, and it's main level living with downstairs. So primary bedrooms on the main, and then 2 more bedrooms downstairs. It's got a media room. Really, really super nice property. Excellent. Well built. Okay, so next week we're going to be doing the market update for the month. So please tune in with us at 9:30. And if you like our show, we would love your input about what comments and give us comments about what you want to hear. Please don't forget to subscribe to us. And I do get some comments on YouTube, so thank you for that. Please share out our show if you think somebody may be interested in knowing more information. Andrew, how do people get in touch with you?
You can reach me at 250-360-6106, email info@andrewplank.com. Come to the website, andrewplank.com, lots of information there, or I'm on Instagram as Plank Andrew. I do just also want to comment. What was my comment? Yes, if folks have feedback on format, on whether you want more of something, less of something, more focused, if you like our rambling, some people, give us feedback on the show format as well, what you might like to see more of, what you might like to see less of, what you really are coming here for. Any of that is really helpful to us as we, want to build and improve our show for you.
Yeah. And people want to get in touch with me. My name's Jane Johnston. I'm with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com or briarhillgroup.com. And you can see these shows and more at victoriarealestateshow.com. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for all the fun that we get up to at realtyteacher_Remax_Victoria. All righty, my friend.
Okay. Thanks,
Stay
Jane.
on the line. Live long and prosper. We'll see you guys next Thursday at 9:30. Bye.